This little story is from a couple of years ago. A person called me up and said that he was an American citizen with roots from the Middle East. He had flown in his mother as well from the Middle East for cheap and good quality surgery in Delhi. After the surgery was a success, he had to send his mother back to the Middle Eastern country where she came from, and he had to himself fly back to the US. When booking tickets though, apparently there was no direct flight, and the connecting flight, there could have been an issue with immigration, and therefore the travel agent sitting in the Middle East told him that he must accompany his mother to the immigration counter at the Delhi airport and explain to them the situation so that his mother can successfully go back to the home country. If he does not come with her and explain the situation to the immigration officials, she will in all probability be stopped by the airport officials from traveling. That's what he told me. So the travel agent said, for you to enter the airport, I will make a dummy ticket for you. And this is one lesson for all of us who think that when we have to apply for visas, if we generate these dummy tickets by paying 500 or 1,000 rupees, it is completely all right. That is not the case. It is a severely, it's a punishable offense. You can go to jail for up to 7 years for this offense of forgery for the purpose of cheating. This man, without any bad intention, went to the airport, went inside without any difficulty, explained the situation to the immigration officials. When he was stepping out of the airport, at that point of time, he was questioned as to why he is leaving the airport. Even if at that point of time, perhaps he could have cooked up an excuse saying, I forgot something, there is some difficulty or whatever it is, he could have maybe escaped. But this man said the truth. I came here on this dummy ticket that my travel agent gave me so that I can drop off my mother and the immigration. Immediately, he was apprehended by the Delhi police security forces. An FIR was registered, but he was not arrested. He was allowed to leave. However, his American passport was seized by the Delhi police, the investigating officer. He called me up. He said that he must reach back home to the US and join back his job because if he is not able to reach within a week, he will lose his job, because of which he will not be able to pay the rent. He will lose his house, and effectively he will be homeless if he does not reach home back within a period of about 7 to 10 days. I explained to him that if an FIR is registered pursuant to which the passport has been impounded, I don't see any way that you can go back home for a minimum of 6 to 8 months, maybe a year at the very minimum. Because even if, and that's a presumption that a lot of people have, let's just go for quashing, especially in a situation like this where the complainant is the state, there is no other complainant in the matter, even there can be no compromise therefore, and these offenses being non-compoundable, you have to hash them out in the court of law. We can try quashing, but there is a very, very good likelihood that even this matter will not be quashed. And even if we try for quashing, we move a quashing petition before the Delhi High Court under Article 2 to 6 of the Constitution of India. Even then, on the first date of hearing, the court will merely issue notice. The state will seek time to file its status report. The matter will go a minimum 2 or 3 months advance in the future, after which another 1 or 2 dates will in all probability happen, as happens with majority of the non-compromise quashing matters out there before the Delhi High Court. This person again insisted that he must go back within the week. So I was not sure what to do about the whole situation. I could not possibly at that point of time at least offer to this person that he enter a plea of guilt, because in India, if you enter a plea of guilt, there is a very, very high possibility that the judge will actually give you jail time, which also again defeats the purpose. And here with imprisonment up to 7 years, there is no sense in entering a plea of guilt so that you can get your passport back. But what I did do was I visited the court of the Metropolitan Magistrate, which would have decided the matter. The Metropolitan Magistrate having jurisdiction over Indira Gandhi International Airport. I went and met the court staff, and another very valuable lesson comes out from this situation. When you have court staff which observes their judge day in and day out, if you have any doubts about the functioning of the judge, if you have any doubts about what kind of relief the judge grants, of course, if you go and point blank ask them, they will always tell you that they have no idea, that the judge always has the discretion. Everything happens under the sun before this court. But if you stick around, if you do some friendly banter, if you make fervent requests, if you explain to them the gravity of your situation, a lot of times the court staff will give you valuable insights. And in this particular situation as well, the court staff, after a little bit of back and forth banter, after a little bit of convincing the court staff, I was told that this happens routinely before this court. If the charge sheet is filed on time, the judge, when you appear before him for the first time for this particular offense of forgery by creating a dummy ticket so that you can travel abroad, whenever people are caught, it happens about once or twice a month before that court. But whenever that happens, if you enter a plea of guilt before the judge will merely fine you exactly 20,000 rupees and then will let you go. And in this particular situation as well, I offered this to the client. This is a possible thing that occurs. Now, I would not still recommend it to everybody, because when you enter a plea of guilt, you are, for all practical purposes, guilty of a punishable offense. You have entered a plea of guilt, and therefore there are on many occasions when, say, applying for government jobs or applying for a passport or applying for a visa, whenever they ask you in the form, have you ever been convicted of any offense, you will have to tick mark yes. If you don't, there is a possibility that in the verification processes, it will come out that you have pled guilty. And this is what the impact is. The 20,000 rupee fine may be insignificant for a majority of the population out there, but especially when you're traveling abroad and doing all of these other things. But this plea of guilt could be an issue. But for this particular person, especially because he had to head back to the United States, he is a United States citizen, it wouldn't really matter that much. And so the final difficulty to overcome for us was the fact that the police officer in the matter had yet to file his charge sheet. And therefore another round of convincing, back and forth banter and fervent requests to the investigating officer to convince him that he should immediately file his charge sheet. And therefore about 3 or 4 days after this person first contacted me, the police officer filed the charge sheet before the magistrate, where I there on that date itself requested the magistrate, please take up the matter. The magistrate posted it for the next date, the next day itself for hearing. We immediately entered a plea of guilt, and with our fingers crossed, we went into it. The magistrate, as the court staff had predicted, immediately passed an order of fine only of rupees 20,000. The signatures of the client were taken, his thumb impressions were taken, something that is done for convicted persons, and he was about 2 hours later handed his passport. He immediately booked his flight back home, happy to get out of this mess and get back to his job in the USA. As I discussed, many valuable lessons were learned by me in this entire situation, something that I was thinking about just a few hours ago, and I thought I'll share it with you.